SCORE Northeast Wisconsin and WHBY are pleased to bring you Biz Talk, a chance for you to hear from entrepreneurs and professionals as they share their experiences. From starting to sustaining growth, learn the skills needed for your business to be successful. If you miss anything, you can catch the Biz Talk podcast at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And now from the Myron Construction Studio, it's Biz Talk on WHBY.
Good morning, everybody, and I hope you're having a great Saturday so far. Welcome to Biz Talk with SCORE. I'm your host this week, Terry Finch, and joining me as co-host is Dan Pulaski. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm just fine.
Great.
How are you, Terry?
Excellent, thank you. Dan is co-hosting this week because he's had some interaction with our guest who is a part of SCORE, and we'd love to talk about that. And so I'll introduce you to our guest first. It's Greg Waters from Vector Web Solutions. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks for having me.
Yep, and thank you. So to get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, wow. That might take some time. My name's Greg Waters. I live here in the Valley in Combined Locks. I graduated to kind of start my path. I graduated from UW-Oshkosh in 2003, Bachelor of Fine Arts with a graphic design emphasis. And I took a little bit of time off after I graduated, just still trying to kind of get a grasp on things and figure out exactly what I wanted to do with my degree, because I didn't have a clear path laid out in front of me. During that time off, I started doing some freelance work, just some freelance design work, helping local businesses with things from branding to marketing, just kind of high level sorts of things, design work, general design work. And eventually I stumbled onto the technology side of things. The web was really starting to pick up at that time. And I just saw an opportunity there and actually started teaching myself a little bit more about web development, web design, how we could use some of the tools that we had to really help businesses get a little bit of an edge during that time. And things have taken off from there.
So as you're doing this, what really led you to the technology side of it, though? Wasn't there other areas directions you could go?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of a left brain, right brain kind of guy, I guess. And so there's a little bit of that nerdy side in me, I guess, that just when I started seeing the stuff on the internet and learning a little bit more about websites, for one, I saw the value in it, I guess. So that kind of helped me down that path, because you could kind of see that this was something that was really becoming something and would be really, really intertwined into business and marketing for years to come. So I guess I kind of leaned in that direction for that, and just for maybe a little bit for the variety.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more then about Vector Web Solutions. So what do you offer to your clients?
That's a good question. So we like to say everything web. We try to kind of be a one-stop shop. I typically focus on small to mid-sized businesses and organizations like nonprofits throughout the area, mainly Fox Valley, Wisconsin, but we do get outside of that. And what we try to do really is, I guess, outside of providing services, we really try to educate our customers on why different things are important and why we should be doing certain things. Trying to help them simplify the whole process, because it can be really overwhelming when you talk about things like hosting and social media and digital marketing and maintenance of their website. So we try to kind of take that holistic approach and really educate our clients while also trying to help them grow their business online.
And how much has things changed in the web services industry from when you started till today?
Oh, man. Well, it was slow rolling at first, right? And things started to kind of catch on as technology caught up with some of these concepts. And honestly, I know that we hear this a lot since 2020, but COVID has changed things on the web drastically, right? Because everyone was really forced indoors into their own personal spaces, whether that was from a residential perspective or a business perspective. And so the web proved to be a really powerful tool during that time, and websites and digital marketing also really started to kind of increase in terms of value. And so I think that's where we started to see some of this stuff really shoot up, because when we came out of COVID, people were still shopping online and people were still learning about businesses and services online. So it just, everything became more important for local businesses and organizations to maintain that strong presence, I guess. That's probably the biggest change that I've seen over the last 20 years.
Okay. And so let's talk about the administrative side first. You're setting up a small business. How did you learn about things like doing the books, finding the marketing and selling tools, and lawyers and legal aspects, other things like that?
Well, a lot of ways, I guess. So I've been in this industry for a long time. I've worked for agencies throughout the Fox Valley. And I've had this business kind of on the side for quite a few years. So I've been lucky enough to be able to learn slow, take some of the knowledge that I've got from some of these other experiences that I've had. I would say between that, a little bit of trial and error and falling flat on my face a few times, and then organizations like SCORE and Dan and his team that have really kind of helped answer some of the questions that I've had over time.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit then about the marketing and selling side. You've got to find clients. How do you go about finding your clients?
That's a good question. Word of mouth is big for this company at this point. I think there's something to be said about quality work and craftsmanship and really caring about the product that we put out and the customers that we serve and work with. So I think that's probably first and foremost. As with any other business, I would say social media and just our general web presence. You know, some of the paid advertisements that we do through the website, I would say that those are probably the biggest. We do a little bit of cold emailing and things like that, but for the most part, I think just continuing to put out good quality work and really caring about our customers has been one of our biggest, I guess, selling points.
And are your customers mostly local, or is it more regional in scope?
Yeah, we try. I mean, it's a smaller business, so we tend to focus on smaller, more local customers, but we do have the bandwidth and the capacity to serve larger. So we do have a couple of customers throughout the Midwest and different areas of Wisconsin outside of the Fox Valley.
Well, this is Dan again. I think one of the unique features that Greg looks at is that he just doesn't do the stuff over the internet or over the phone, actually goes into the business so he can get an intimate relationship with how things operate within the business. And of course, then that translates into a better product, I believe, with the website design. So you can see how everything works, and then puts it all together in the website and social media and that type of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dan. I think, I've seen over the years, there are a ton of companies out there that can build websites. But I think it doesn't stop there. If you want to help a company gain a little bit of that traction online, it's really about learning more about that company or organization to help them tell their story, so that website actually becomes of value and even a good return on investment. So I 100% agree with you. And it's something that we like to listen up front. We really like to get that valuable information from our customers before we just dive in and start throwing solutions around. I think it's really important.
So it's a matter of there's still, I don't want to call it old fashioned because it's not at all, but there's still an element of personal contact that's really important in order to do your job well.
I think so. I mean, it doesn't happen with every single project. There are projects that we've done from start to finish without ever physically being in the same space as our customer. But I think there's just a level of communication that's really important. And if we can do some of that in person, we welcome that. There's just something to be said about that in-person communication and connection that I think has been a little bit lost over the years.
Okay. So as you look at your clients today versus when you started, there's got to be a much higher level of understanding of the internet and social media. Have you seen that you spend less time educating than maybe you had to in the past?
You'd think the answer would be yes. But I guess I would answer that one with a yes and no. We run into customers, that have a really strong grasp on what we do. They understand the value in it, and they even understand how to implement maybe some of the strategies and techniques, and others that don't have the slightest clue. And in those cases, a lot of times they'll say, hey, we're going to put all of this in your hands, on your plate, and we're going to trust you on it. And then the ones where they understand the technology a little bit more, we look at that a little bit more from a collaborative perspective. So we see a little bit of both, I guess, to answer your question.
Okay. So as you look at how the business has evolved over time, what are the future opportunities for you? Where do you evolve next? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I mean, technology is so unpredictable, and obviously the latest craze over the last year is AI, right? And my industry, I think, got a little nervous there for a while when AI was coming on board. Oh, AI is going to, knock people out of jobs and opportunities and things like that. And AI being a good tool, still needs to rely on that experience and that knowledge and that human element. So you just never know what's going to come up. I think one of the things that I look at is trying to be able to get out of all aspects of the business and maybe just focus on some of the stuff that I feel maybe are more of my strong points. You mentioned some of the admin work and bookkeeping, and I'm the bookkeeper, lead designer, lead creative, the janitor. I'm you name it here. I take care of most of it. So I'd like to be a little bit more focused as I move things forward. And I'd also like to really start focusing a little bit more on long-term relationships with customers to be able to help them out on a daily, monthly, yearly basis, whether it's through consulting or just general guidance on things.
Do you find that artificial intelligence is helping you streamline some of the things you do?
100%. I honestly, I don't know if I'd be able to run the business the way that I do right now without AI. I think I would have to have more people involved, like on an admin sort of level. And I think I would have to grow my team a little bit more than where it's at right now. So we don't use it as a crutch. I think we use it a lot of times for validation of some of the things that we're trying to do, just to kind of do quick research on whether we think this strategy may work. And then, I guess kind of helping with repetitive tasks and some of a little bit more droney, menial type work that, it's tough to find time for that throughout the day. So we use it heavily, but I don't think we rely on it necessarily to completely power the business.
And is it something that's worrying your clients a little bit and that you have to help them with, understand and accept?
I don't know that it's worrying, but I think that there are a lot of unknowns out there still. And I think unless you're really involved in AI and experiencing AI on a regular basis, it's tough to fully understand what it's capable of and when maybe you should be using it. So with our customers, we let them know essentially when we're using that tool so that they give full transparency there. For example, I had a recent customer who just was having a hard time producing content to get to us for the website. So what we were able to do is take the content that we had got, just gather as much as we could and use AI to kind of help grow that content a bit, get that back to the customer and let them read through it. And in this case, it worked out really well. The customer said, I love the direction that this is going. But that being said, we also don't just print off AI and let it run. We make sure that we put a human set of eyes on it before anybody else looks at it. So there's a lot of ways that we can use it. And I do think that we've been really trying to educate our customers on the pros and cons and how they can benefit it.
Okay. We're at the point where we're going to take our first break. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY, and we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. We're glad you joined us this morning. Our guest is Greg Waters with Vector Web Solutions. Before continuing our conversation with Greg, I'd like to tell you about SCORE Northeast Wisconsin. SCORE Northeast Wisconsin serves an 18-county area in Northeast Wisconsin, plus the county of Menominee in Michigan. We have around 50 volunteers each an expert in your field, offering entrepreneurs no cost and confidential mentoring. Those areas of expertise include IT, social media, marketing, cash flow, accounting, strategic planning, workflow, HR, retail, best practices, and many others. And Dan, our guest host this week, is an example. He brings an expertise in real estate that could really help people as they're trying to get businesses running, and has a lot of knowledge there. So in order to register for a no-cost confidential mentoring session or learn more about SCORE Northeast Wisconsin, visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. You can learn more about how the SCORE chapter can assist you with starting and or growing your business, and you can complete an application for a mentoring session. Simply complete the online form and submit it to SCORE. Within a few days, a SCORE mentor will be contacting you to set up a meeting. Remember, SCORE is no cost and offers experts who can assist in many different areas. To get started, visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And to support small business people, SCORE Northeast Wisconsin is always looking for new mentors. If you have experience that you would love to share with others, we'd like to talk to you. We welcome volunteers with experience in all aspects of business. Small business owners need your help, and your experience can make a real difference to their success. Go to score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, click on the volunteer button, and fill out the short application. We'll get back to explain more. Thanks again for joining us on Biz Talk, and we'll get back to our discussion with Greg. And Greg, I'd like to start with your experience with SCORE. You're a SCORE client. You worked with Dan. Could you talk a little bit about why you came to SCORE and what you got out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was looking to kind of grow my business a bit, I started to look for resources on the internet that could potentially help me. I have a great team around me, but in terms of growth and some of the business decisions, I'm kind of on my own there. So I stumbled across SCORE. I was totally unaware of the SCORE and the services that they provide, and I got hooked up with Dan. We had initially, within the first few months, we had quite a few conversations. It was a great opportunity for me to just kind of bounce my thoughts and ideas off somebody that had been there, done that, so to speak. And Dan and the team have been awesome, just understanding where I'm at, where I'm trying to go, and helping me maybe solve problems or pick the right path based on kind of where I'm at. So here we are today.
And Dan, your background came in a slightly different area, but how did you translate your experiences in a way that you could help Greg?
Well, I was working with the city of Two Rivers for about 3 decades, working in a variety of different community development efforts, including such things as, tourism development, hotel development, retail. We also work with industrial. The biggest one we did was about a $23 million project. It was a plant expansion. And then on the commercial side, whatever needs to be done. Several years ago, there was a consolidation. We had 4 Catholic parishes in our community, and they consolidated down to 1. All right, so what are you going to do with the other 3 parishes since you're consolidated into 1? One was torn down, a Walgreens was put up. Another one was converted into housing, along with a recreation facility initially. And then the third one, we just haven't found a good use for. But it was real estate development focused. And like when we were working with Greg, we always start out by saying, well, do you have a business name? And then and the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions, that's WDFI.org, has a nice name search feature. So if you're looking for something as a common name, it'll tell you if that name has been taken or not. So that's one identifying factor. So you can search for the business name. Also, if you're looking for additional programs pertaining to your type of development, you can contact WEDC, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation.org, for a variety of different programs associated with whatever your small business idea is, whether it be real estate, like with Greg, with the software and the web presence. So we just try to assist from that standpoint. And it's really not that difficult to get into business. The state of Wisconsin does a good job with that WDFI.org website, and it just kind of takes you in. For example, if you do have your name, go on through. And if you want to then register that name for yourself, you just fill out the necessary forms. Of course, there's a fee associated with that. Plus, you also have to get an identification number, through the IRS and with the state of Wisconsin. And typically, you could find all that information. Just go online and say, looking for legal representation for, setting up a business, and a lot of this stuff will pop up. And you can just fill out the necessary forms and take it from there. So it's relatively easy to do that. And that gets you in business. So.
Okay. And so I will just throw out to everybody that, again, SCORE does a lot of different things, but the expertise it brings to get people started and help them understand where they need to go to get better and improve, or how they register their business, is something that we can help a lot at. And we do a lot of work with people starting up their business. Or people who've got a business started but need help to take that next step. So for all of you out there listening, make sure you think about SCORE as an opportunity to go forward with your business. And in the third segment, when we get to that, Greg's going to talk a lot more about the business itself and what he does and how he does it. But those are the type of skills that he brings into a business environment that somebody like SCORE can help him set up and learn about going forward. So with that, we are going to take our second break. You're listening to Biz Talk with SCORE and WHBY, and we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Biz Talk with SCORE. We're talking to Greg Waters this week from Vector Web Solutions. Before we get back to Greg, I've got a couple education notes to give to you. A lot of people talk about or ask about accounting software and bookkeeping software to use and want to learn more about QuickBooks, as that's probably the most popular software out there for small businesses. And so we have a large library of webinars available for people and live events. And I want to mention a couple live events coming up so that people who need bookkeeping tools or want to learn more about QuickBooks itself can learn. So first, if you go to our website, it's score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. At the top, there's a tab for workshops and events. Click on the upcoming events when you're in that tab, and it'll bring you to a search page. You just put QuickBooks into the keyword search, select any location, and there's a whole bunch of webinars coming up that will be of help. And I want to mention two of them. One of them is for somebody who's already decided to use QuickBooks and is moving forward with it, and it's called QuickBooks Online for Beginners. It's May 1st at 8 o'clock Central Time in the morning. It's a 3-hour course, and it's an introductory course for somebody using QuickBooks. And if you're starting to use it, it's a really good idea to take that. And there are follow-up sessions for intermediate and advanced users or nonprofit users as well. So it's something you can take for if you've already bought it or know you're going to use it. For someone who's not sure if they want to use QuickBooks yet, there's another seminar. It's coming up on April 28th at 5 o'clock Central, and it's 1 hour, and it's an online workshop on QuickBooks. Should you use it? Why should you use it? How should you use it? So it's another opportunity to go out there and learn more about QuickBooks. And so again, go to score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, click on the workshops and events tab at the top, then click on upcoming events and search in the keyword search for QuickBooks with any location selected, and you'll find a lot of those options. We've just found so many people who use QuickBooks and have questions about it, and there's a lot of paid courses, but these are free courses that you can go take and learn an awful lot about it. Okay. So with that, we're going to turn back to Greg now. And Greg, I'm going to start talking more about some of the individual components of your business and how they work. And let's start with website design.
Sure.
Why do you have a website?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think just the digital world has blown up, right? It's a huge part of how people get their information, how they find products, how they find services, and essentially how they vet companies. Just anything from going in and reading about the company a little bit to seeing what their offerings are, in some cases to figuring out what their hours of operation are. So there's just so many reasons for for businesses or individual consumers to go online and be connecting with companies through websites. So it's really important for companies to have some sort of a web presence these days because of all of that stuff that I mentioned.
Okay. So for a little while, a few years ago, we saw people going first to the social media, the Facebooks and Instagram and things, but they now seem to be coming back where they have both. Is that something you recommend for people as they do both websites and social media?
In some cases, yeah, I think it's really a case by case basis, and it really depends upon the industry and the clientele. Like I said, from a home-based standpoint, we always recommend starting with a website. Now, depending on who you are, if a lot of your audience is going to be on Facebook, that might be a nice social media platform to kind of add to your presence. If you're more of a professional type business that is offering services, or let's say you manufacture or fabricate metal, aluminum products or something like that, a lot of your audience is going to be from decision makers that might be more present in the LinkedIn space, for example. So I think the amount of social media and how you use social media and how you tie that to your website really depends on who you are and who you're trying to kind of sell to or talk to.
Okay. So we touched earlier on a little bit on how there's that personal contact's important for some of this website design work.
Yeah.
What is your process for website development typically?
Yeah, so it really starts out with, I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, just really getting to know our customer. What do they do on a daily basis? What are their aspirations and goals? What are they trying to get out of the website? Who are they trying to communicate with? A lot of those who, what, why, where, when type questions. And we really dive into that in the earlier part of the process. We like to think getting those answers can help with the overall success of the project and even the long-term success of that customer online. Once we get all that kind of discovery work done, then we start working into designs, and we really try to tie in the customer's brand and their voice and their offerings all into a kind of a functional design or look and feel. Once we get designs approved, we take that into a development phase where we're kind of, rolling up our sleeves and getting in here and actually building the website. And then we start to share that with that customer and make sure that it aligns with their initial goals and visions and things like that. Go through a testing phase, and in most cases at that point, we're pretty much ready for launch. So I made that sound a little bit more simple than what it is, but that's kind of the gist of our process.
Okay. So when there are a lot of website development tools out there where you can just go and create your own website, they don't always look great. Why should somebody come to a business like you rather than doing their own website?
That's another really good question. And to be honest with you, there are some businesses that are better off with one of those sites, whether it's a Wix site or a Squarespace site. Those can be a really cost-effective way to get your business online. And for like a lot of, mom and pop type companies or startups that just don't have the budget or the capital, it can be a great solution. I don't think that it's a long-term or sustainable solution. In a lot of cases, it requires a lot of hands-on work and like web type knowledge. And we're trying to kind of go the opposite of that, where we want to provide simple solutions for our customers so that they don't have to think about it and worry about it. The cost is a little bit more associated with the way that we do it, but the amount of time and headaches that end up with the customer are much less. If they run into problems down the road, they have a partner like us to be able to kind of guide them through some of these problem type situations. Like, say their hosting is expiring and they're not sure who they're supposed to pay for this, or this. We can help out with that sort of stuff. And that's one of our services, just general consulting, to where like we go in and talk with our customers that we haven't even built their website, but we're just helping get them on the right path, consolidate some of their properties, make sure that they understand what they're paying for each year, and and helping them get the most out of what they have. So kind of a long-winded answer. I think that there's a time and a place for each, but I think typically for us, the businesses that have maybe been around a little bit longer and have understood some of these pain points and headaches that they've gone through trying to do it themselves, those are the ones that we tend to kind of be a better fit for, I think.
Yeah, and I agree. We see that in SCORE a lot where somebody just starting out, well, we may say, okay, you can do your own website, but is that really where you should spend your time once you're developing the business and growing? Or should you hire that out, one, because it'll look better and you don't need to be an expert, and two, your time is better used elsewhere. So
100%. I mean, especially when you're talking about small businesses where a lot of these owners, small business owners, they're spread thin already. And now to have to focus on all of this marketing stuff and essentially become like somewhat of an expert in web on top of what they're already an expert in, it can be a lot. So yeah, I think that that's where we really step in and we can provide a lot.
Okay. So what is digital marketing and search engine optimization?
Oh, that's another, we need a whole segment for that. Digital marketing it's a pretty big bucket. Your website itself falls into that digital marketing category, and it's basically just promoting your business in that digital space. We like to think that digital marketing goes hand in hand with the website build. So in a lot of cases, you'll see a company build a website and say, all right, I checked that box off. It's out there. We're good. In most cases, and I don't mean to deflate anyone's bubble. In most cases, that's not enough. You need to provide that just some ongoing strategy and support for that website to when you talk about the, like SEO or search engine optimization, that's making sure that that website is optimized so that the search engines can easily connect to it, read it, and then rank it. And every business wants to rank as high as they can in the search engines. It takes a little bit to do that. So that's where that search engine optimization is. And that ongoing just general bucket of digital marketing, again, can also include search engine optimization, but it also includes strategies like paid advertisements, social media management, email marketing campaigns, and even some things, geo-targeting, basically targeting potential customers in specific geolocations. So like there are probably quite a few companies right now that are targeting people at the NFL draft in Green Bay because they have a huge audience in an area. So I'm just going to use this as an example. A bar and restaurant in Green Bay that's trying to get people into their business this weekend. There are certain things that they're doing, probably a little bit of everything that I just mentioned. They might be doing some paid ads. There's a good chance they're doing some sort of geo-targeting, which is putting those ads out to a specific location. So people scrolling on their phone, they'll see such and such bar and grill, and things like that. Like I said, the email marketing and some of that other stuff wouldn't necessarily pertain to the draft, but there are a ton of services that kind of fall within that big digital marketing bucket, and they're all important in their own way, but I think they're all useful in their own way as well, depending on the type of business and the type of audience that business is trying to connect with.
Okay. So talk a little bit more about that aspect of it. Just with the whole idea of digital marketing. And one of the ones you talked about in your website a little bit was pay-per-click. Could you talk a little bit more about that so people understand what it is and how it works?
Yeah. Pay-per-click is pretty complex. It's a cool tool. It can get really pricey depending on what you're trying to do. But one of the things that pay-per-click can do is if you're, you have a new website out there, it typically takes these search engines a little bit of time to latch onto that website and recognize it. So pay-per-click is a nice way to maybe get yourself recognized a little bit more quickly than what organically the search engines can recognize you as. It can also get you in front of certain people or ahead of certain competition based on the amount of money that you invest into that pay-per-click campaign. And there are a ton of little variables and strategies that fall within that, but that's kind of the gist of it. Again, it's another one of those services that it can be super helpful to your business, but it might not be for everyone. So I think it's one of those things where, again, we go back into that analysis kind of phase where you're really trying to look at what strategies are going to make the most sense for what business. And in a lot of cases, pay-per-click can be a really quick fix or a solution for a company trying to get their name out there.
Okay. So one of the last ones I want to talk about in this area is email marketing, because it doesn't seem to have slowed down. I had thought that maybe with some of the social media work, you'd see less email marketing, but it seems to be really important, which means it must be effective or people would stop doing it. So why is email marketing working and why is it important?
I think it's important for companies to stay connected with their audience or their customer base, and email marketing in some cases can do that. When a customer of yours might have bought a product in January of 2025, and by May or June of 2025, they might have kind of forgotten about you already. So that email marketing, if you have that email address, it's a good way to kind of stay connected with that customer. And again, there are a lot of different strategies there. But at the end of the day, if you're putting really good content out there or maybe offering discounts or coupons or something like that within these emails, they can be really effective.
Okay. So now I want to switch into another aspect of your business, and that's hosting and website maintenance. And the reason this one's important to me is I have a couple of clients where when I sign on or link into their sites, I see not secure written on there, and I keep talking to them about that's not necessarily a good sign. So why is it important, and how do you make it happen for people?
Yeah. So for good hosting is really important. It's the basis of everything. If your hosting is not secure, and your website's not loading quickly, it doesn't have that secure layer like you were talking about up in the browser window. And again, the pages are loading slower. People tend to run away from those websites. You know, when you see that this website is not secure warning, that makes you kind of not want to go any further. So hosting can kind of tackle some of that. There are various options of hosting around the internet. We offer a base hosting package, and then we also offer a hosting and maintenance package where each month we go through and keep an eye on your website, make sure that it's always secure, make sure that it's always loading quickly, all of the software is up to date, and just basically trying to make the product as bulletproof as possible. And from a security perspective, I mean, we all know the amount of hacks and bots and attacks that are out there on all of whether it's our phones or our websites or whatever. So having a strong hosting platform can really help combat some of that sort of stuff too.
So I'm expecting you're having your software, your security software updated constantly with all the threats out there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the best way to fight this stuff is make sure that you have the latest technology working in your favor. And then from there are obviously other tools and strategies that we employ. But that's, I guess, one of the first recommendations is just make sure that everything's up to date. It's going to do a lot better of a job fighting off whatever is out there.
Okay. So then something you talked about as being relatively new in the direction you're going is doing websites for nonprofits. What got you thinking about this, and how do you work with them? What's important for working with nonprofits?
Yeah, I guess so. I've lived in this area for a long time. I was born in this area, moved away for a bit, but came back. I'm a big fan of the Fox Valley. I'm a big fan of Wisconsin, and I'm a big fan of the small business, the nonprofit organization that's out there doing the greater good. I've been lucky enough to have worked with nonprofits throughout my career with different employers that I've worked for. It's a really rewarding experience. And I think it's something that can do a lot of good for some of these organizations that maybe don't have the budget that others do. So our Websites for Nonprofits program allows for us to offer the same types of services that we offer to our businesses with larger budgets, only we're able to discount that a little bit so that these nonprofits can, I guess, take advantage of some of the same services that other companies and organizations with a little bit more of a budget. And what we really try to do is kind of that same concept that we've talked about a few times throughout this interview is just eliminate the headaches and the hassle in the web so that they can focus on doing good for the community. And I think that's where we can kind of come in and help out.
Okay. So, is it something that the nonprofit community is seeing and accepting more, or is it something that they're still struggling to spend money on it, but need to?
I think from my experience, I think what I see is that a lot of the nonprofits that I talk to, they understand the importance of this stuff and they know where they need certain elements, strategies, websites, help, whatever that is. But I think budget is generally the constraint there. I mean, just about everyone that I talk to says, oh, we've been just hobbling on this website for the last 5 years, and we finally got a little bit of budget to upgrade to a new website. So there's the awareness out there. I think it's just the budget constraints that are kind of holding some of these nonprofits back. And that's where we really want to help.
Yeah. And that's great. We see it all the time too. Is something we tell a lot of nonprofits is if you're going to have an internet presence, you need to make sure it's done right, because if it's not, you're going to hurt your client, the people that are potentially clients, because they tend to turn away from that. So it's important to do it right. So anyhow, we are at a point where we're going to take our final break. You're listening to Biz Talk with SCORE and WHBY, and we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. I'd like to thank the sponsors and donors who bring Biz Talk with SCORE to you each weekend. We couldn't present Biz Talk without their generous support. Thank you to Hailing & Associates. Hailing & Associates helps small businesses and individuals not just prepare tax returns, but plan ahead, thereby helping you minimize taxes for this year and beyond. Hailing & Associates, personal connection, positive results. Thank you to Johnson Financial Group. Wherever you are in your life or the life of your business, Johnson Financial Group works with you to understand your goals, thereby matching the right banking and wealth services to help you complete your mission. Thanks to the Business News for promoting our program in the biweekly business newspaper serving Northeast Wisconsin. The paper contains relevant and useful information about the business community in this region. We'd also like to recognize the David L. and Rita E. Nelson Fund within the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region for their generous donation in support of Biz Talk and SCORE Northeast Wisconsin. So now, as we wrap up, we'll turn back to Greg. And Greg, could you first let everybody know how they can find out more about VectorWeb and then contact you?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a website at vectorweb.solutions. So we're not a .com, we're a .solutions. So vectorweb.solutions. And then you can also call 920-212-1651.
Okay. So first question has been in this last segment is going to be, if you look back over the 20 years or so of doing this, what would you do differently if you were starting over?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask that question. I think maybe taking a few more chances and trusted myself a little bit more when I was younger. Did not be as intimidated by jumping into certain things and just giving stuff a try and just not worrying so much about failure and falling on my face once in a while.
And how did SCORE help you in as you progressed in your development? How did it help to have that sounding board, as Dan was calling it, to help with those discussions and where you were going?
I think SCORE did it well. The sounding board is a really good way to describe that, because it was a really great way for me to just any of the ideas, like my brain's going a million miles a minute all the time. It was just a great way to just kind of spit some of this stuff out and get it out to somebody that has some experience, that can kind of help guide a little bit one way or the other, turn some stuff down, encourage me to follow something a little bit more. And it was really good because it helped me kind of narrow down my vision to some, specific areas.
Okay. So as you look at where you are today, have you met your expectations of what you really thought this business could be?
I've had a blast. I can honestly say that every day I get up and I'm excited about my job. I'm excited about the customers I work with. I'm excited about the people that I work with. So from that perspective, I feel like things have been really fulfilling. I do know that I'm not very good at settling for this or this. So I know that I'll continue to kind of push both myself, my business, the people around me to make sure that we're providing the best customer service and solutions that we can. So I'm excited about it.
Okay. So as we wrap up here, first like to thank you for being a guest on the show this week. It's been great to have you, and important that people understand what's out there and what's available from a website service perspective, because it's something that we see with our clients that they really need to be thinking about, given the importance of it. So first of all, thank you for that. Then also for our listeners, I'd just like to let everybody know again, you can go to score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, and you'll find on that website older shows for the last 7 years, I think it is now, you'll find on that website. You can also go on Saturday mornings to WHBY, either online or on the radio, and hear the show. And now for for all of 2024 episodes, and for those in 2025, we're on your favorite podcatchers like iTunes, Amazon Music, and others out there. So you can find us at a lot of different places. We really thank Greg for being on the show this week, and we thank all of you for listening, and have a great week. We will be talking to you soon. Bye.